Hello, What Culture? My name is Simon Miller, and I tell you, if we didn't have to talk about all the controversy surrounding Crown Jewel, I would be laughing my head off right now because this was the weirdest WWE pay-per-view I think I've ever seen in my entire damn life. But we do have to talk about the negativity in the build-up to Crown Jewel, and I just want to say this. If you are one of those people that decided not to watch, good for you. I think you've made an awesome stance, and yes, I agree with you on a personal level. However, when it comes to ups and downs, this is how I see it. One, I know a lot of people tune into ups and downs, so I'll watch wrestling, meaning you don't have to, and that applies here. But also, two, if we're going to cover the easy events, we absolutely have to cover the harder events too, because otherwise, history can repeat itself, and that's why it's always important to keep the conversation alive. So yeah, I don't think WWE should have put on Crown Jewel, but now that they have, and now we've addressed it, we're going to go through the show and up those downs. Now, Crown Jewel didn't fall off a cliff until around about 3/4 in, so let's not be too crazy here. Let's not be too over the top, because before all of that, it was alright. It was decent. It was another WWE's gone to another country to do a WWE Network special show. Therefore, the kickoff, where Shinsuke Nakamura did take Rusev on, gets an up. It did piss me off a little bit that this was announced about 24 hours before the damn thing. Why couldn't we have done more on SmackDown and actually showcase Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev, given they're two talented fools? But whatever, it was just there when all was said and done. Shinsuke kneed Rusev in the face, got the 1, 2, 3. I'm guessing there is no fallout from this whatsoever when we get to SmackDown Live on Tuesday. It does suck though, because these two have talent dripping off their face, whatever that means. At the moment, they're starting to feel like afterthoughts. I don't like that. You know what happens when I don't like something? Gets it down. Then Crown Jewel started properly, and the first thing we saw was Hulk Hogan returning to the WWE, walking down the aisle. And I don't know, man, you tell me. I mean, I found it a little bit uncomfortable. I really didn't need to see Hulk Hogan on this show, and on this show especially, because I felt like we had enough controversy. And that's why, I'm really sorry, I'm just going to take this rope and start taking myself down into this well. And the reason I'm going down is because, yes, I'm going to give it a down. However, you know the rules. If you can't see me, you can't get mad at me. And now I'm out the shot. He just cut a promo and said hello, which was actually crap, because he was meant to be the host of Crown Jewel, and as far as I know, a host is meant to do more than that. And sure, he got a big pop and the crowd seemed happy to see him. I just didn't need it. What do I know? I'm just a bald buffoon, but that's how I feel. The World Cup was always going to dominate proceedings given how many matches we had to get through, and little did I know just how crazy it was going to become. But again, before we get to the ending, let's not forget the earlier matches were fine, they were decent. Hence why Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio, that's going to get an up too. You can almost feel it in the air that these two enjoy working together, and there were some badass spots, much like Rey Mysterio getting drop kicked out the air by Randy Orton, and the Viper grabbing Rey Mysterio after he tried to do a 619 and DDTing his face into the ring canvas. The finish gets a wink of love from me too, even though that sounds really dodgy, but the two were scrapping around, and from nowhere, Rey Mysterio rolled up Randy Orton and he got the surprise pin. That then pissed the Viper off. He whipped Rey Mysterio's ass for a while, so we had some story going into the other aspects of the tournament, namely, what is Rey gonna do? He's injured now. Wasn't going to make any difference whatsoever, but at this point, I enjoyed the effort. It's another up for The Miz versus Jeff Hardy. It was fine. Up. I will say it was a little bit by the numbers and they just had a match, but that was always going to be the way to a certain extent, because two of these wrestlers were going to have 3 matches on the same night, and therefore you had to pace them out a little bit. I also enjoyed the ending, even if it was a bit anticlimactic. Jeff Hardy went for a swanton bomb, he missed, The Miz took advantage, and after a few other sequences, smashed him with the skull-crushing finale and beat Jeff Hardy clean as a whistle. And this pleased me because clean finishes in tournaments make the tournament feel more important, and it means every win means something. Or at least that's what I said at the time. Then around about an hour later, I was like, why did I ever give a about the World Cup tournament? A quick down though, because it was at this point I realized WWE had made the words best in the world mean absolutely nothing, because they'd said it around about 84,000 times. And again, what they did at the finish, took the phrase best in the world and just buried it underground and then on it. Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley followed, and it was another of those, wait, that was over very quickly, but we've already established why that was the case. We had a lot to get through here. So it kind of felt pointless and Bobby Lashley just lost, but again, clean losses are good in this format. That's why, yes, it's going to get an up. Rollins had his ass kicked the whole time just so that when Lashley did lose, the commentators could go, well, that was surprising. We thought Bobby Lashley was going to win because Seth Rollins, he didn't do anything. How did he pull out the victory? And when you do that, WWE, you're just letting me know who the victor is going to be. And if you are keeping track, our 3 semi-finalists at the moment are Rey Mysterio, they are The Miz, and they are Seth Rollins. This did indeed mean we then had to wrap up the bracket, so it was Kurt Angle versus Dolph Ziggler, and this one just fell foul to awful placement within the card, and it gets a down. Now I do want to give a shout out of respect to Kurt Angle, because coming back and doing a match after everything he's been through, it's just incredible really, so 2 thumbs up to him. But this one really did feel needless, especially when Dolph Ziggler just won with a zigzag out of nowhere. So why did we do all those Kurt Angle vignettes when he was like, this is more important than the Olympics, only to take Kurt Angle and throw him down the stairs? You got to assume that Angle just can't wrestle more than one match on any given night, and it's great for Dolph Ziggler. He can use this for years, but overall, it was a bit meh. New Day versus The Bar next, and the New Day came out on a magic carpet, and when you do that, you get it up. Another reason for that is because at one point Cesaro gave Kofi Kingston a monkey flip, he landed on his feet, and then he started dancing to Xavier Woods' trombone. That was absolutely ridiculous, and it made me chuckle. Otherwise, it was a standard tag match that suffered mostly because we've seen these teams go at it so many times, it's just a little bit boring. It's the law of diminishing returns. I can only see something for so long before each other time it gets worse and it gets worse. I'm doing that massage thing again. But as it was mostly there to break up the World Cup fights and they all seem to have a good time, you know what? I stand by the up I gave it earlier. That's not me giving it another up. I'm just saying that's why it gets the up it did. Oh, and the Bar retained after Big Show had given Big E a sneaky punch. Imagine I actually forgot to give you the winner, even though really, it doesn't actually matter. Rey versus Miz in the World Cup semi-finals now, and I tell you, whoever gets to wrestle Rey, at least for the next 6 months, is probably going to get an up, because Mysterio, he just looks so damn good at the moment. He's so smooth, he looks really, really healthy. It's just fantastic to see with my eyes. That's why it's getting up. Once again, this isn't going to go on anybody's matches of the year list, and most of it was actually The Miz just beating down on Rey. But you want to know why that is? Well, usually, it would be because The Miz was going to lose, but he didn't lose here, and he actually won. He beat Rey Mysterio, and again, he beat him clean. It lured me in and tricked my ass. I can never get mad at a wrestling match when it does that. I also thought, WWE's taking some risks. They're circumventing what I expect. Again, though, we're going to learn why they did all of this in around about 2 or 3 minutes, but let's just know at the time, come with me on my journey, at the time, I was actually pleasantly surprised by the crazy booking. And the A-lister would be taking on Dolph Ziggler in the final because he beat Seth Rollins in probably what was the best match on all of Crown Jewel. Get enough. And it was nice how WWE tried to work in all the previous matches to the future ones because Dolph Ziggler was selling his knee here, which had been hurt by Kurt Angle in the round 1 fights. And I also got to see Seth Rollins yelling at Drew McIntyre, and he may as well have been holding a mirror up because those two look exactly the same. Otherwise, this was just 2 good technicians having another good match, much like they were doing a few months ago on Raw. And yeah, Drew McIntyre got involved. He pushed Seth Rollins off the top rope. That allowed Dolph Ziggler to super kick him. And again, 1, 2, 3. Dolph goes through, but this time, clearly it wasn't clean. But what are you going to do? 1 not clean finish out of what, 3, 4, whatever it was? I can handle that. Also, that did mean that either one of Dolph Ziggler or The Miz was going to be crowned best in the world, and nobody had that. And if you said you did have that, you're either The Miz or you're Dolph Ziggler. And if you did, you were still wrong. That took us to AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE title, and there really isn't that much to say here. I think I've already forgotten most of it because it was just there. It was brilliant, it was great, these two can work, but it's not like we hadn't seen it all before. So instead, let's just talk and let's just focus on the finish. Now, I love Daniel Bryan. I think him standing up to the WWE and saying he's not going to go to Crown Jewel was absolutely tremendous, and it just underlines what a great person he is. So if you've got to call an audible and bring in Samoa Joe, I ain't gonna get mad at that. You can put Samoa Joe in any situation, even one with little build, and you know you're gonna get top results. He's Samoa Joe. But this was exactly the same thing that happened in Australia at Super Showdown. We played up Joe getting a bad knee, AJ Styles just beat him, although this time it was a phenomenal forearm, and when all was said and done, Samoa Joe looked like a guy that just couldn't get the job done. and because of that, it gets a down. And I don't mind too much because AJ just made it onto the list for top 10 WWE Championship reigns ever, and boy howdy does he deserve it. But on the flip side, again I was reminded, Joe just isn't championship material, even though he clearly is. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, here is where things get really weird, and honestly, no word of a lie, from this point on till the end of the show, I was in tears of laughter because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was as if WWE had gone, well, everybody's pissed off at us. All right, let's book some really, really weird stuff and everybody will go look and talk about that instead. And it may have actually worked because Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Title. Brock Lesnar not only won, but he whipped the shit out of Braun Strowman to the point Strowman didn't even get a lick of offense in. Now again, yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of this because it was just so crazy and I felt I'd taken a load of drugs and couldn't stop laughing to myself. But it's also fair to say that giving the championship back to Brock at this stage where most of the fans have said we don't want to see a part-timer as our world title holder anymore is absolutely ludicrous, and we took Braun Strowman, someone the fans actually want to cheer and someone who is properly over, and we just did nothing with him. Admittedly, Baron Corbin hit him in the head with a title before the bell had even rung, and it took 5 F5s to take him down. But what was this? Who decided? It was like they went to Reddit and went, Reddit, can you book this match? And Reddit went, well, I would do this. They went, that's a brilliant idea. It was just, I can't even think of the words. I kind of feel like I'm about to explode. Why? Why? Down. As a quick caveat though, it was really fun, and if you were on social media with me, you know the great time that we had. But yeah, long term and looking forward, not the right call at all. If only, however, that is where it had ended. There's my smile again. What do I mean by that? Well, if you haven't watched Crown Jewel and somehow you've managed to avoid spoilers, we could sit here for the next 10 hours trying to guess who won the World Cup tournament, and I tell you this, you would never get it. Want to know why? Because it was Shane McMahon. He wasn't even in the tournament, and it also means the best in the world. The best in the world was Shane McMahon. The short version is The Miz got injured, although that was part of the narrative and was meant to happen, and just as the refs were about to call it off and say Dolph Ziggler's got to win via forfeit, Shane went, what are you talking about? I'm right here, put me in the match, and he beat Dolph Ziggler in about 2 minutes. It was hilarious, and it was oh so stupid. I mean, it was a tournament to crown the best in the world, and WWE decided to troll us. I'm not gonna lie, I like a good troll, I'm that guy. But it makes a mockery of weeks of TV and kind of just slaps each and every one of us around the face. So while on a personal level, on a sneaky secret level, I'm gonna give it an up, and that doesn't go in the box, that's me being an idiot, it of course gets a down. I mean, honestly, who would have thought that? Imagine in my prediction show, I had said, I think Shane McMahon is going to win the World Cup. You would have found out where I lived, knocked on my door, and just punched me in the face. You probably would have ripped my nose off just so I had a reminder never to be that daft again. But it did happen, and you know what? This is the best thing. It can never unhappen. So Shane McMahon, for the rest of time, can call himself the best in the world, and it wasn't even in the tournament. At this point, I was actually ready to turn off my TV too because I'd forgotten we still had DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. That is how much all the World Cup stuff threw me because, again, Shane McMahon is the best in the world. But if you could forget about all of that, you know what? This was a very smart and very well put together match, and if you enjoyed seeing Undertaker and Shawn Michaels back in the ring for the first time in years, I completely understand why nostalgia is a powerful tool. That doesn't mean anything spectacular happened here because it didn't, but did you really expect anything too much before going in? It was a tag match halfway across the other side of the world. It plodded along, and look, if you wanted to see these 4 guys go at it again, that's what you got. We had some table spots. Shawn Michaels at one point did this moonsault off the top rope, which not only looked like it hurt like hell because he landed on his face, but also ripped Kane's mask off. And the Heartbreak Kid proved he's still very good at selling. I utterly believed he was in pain the whole time. Maybe because he was actually in pain. It probably went too long in the sense a quicker match would have made it feel far more entertaining, but after Triple H had pinned Kane following a pedigree sweet chin music combo, I was like, you know what, it's satisfying enough. The fans in the arena probably enjoyed it, so who am I to overly criticize? To be honest, it was hard to think about anything because of, again, the World Cup. So it can have an up, and I will say this, I do respect all 4 guys massively for still being able to do this. I mean, it's no small feat. Then Crown Jewel ended, and here I am about an hour later, and I still can't believe what I've seen. And I'd actually say this, if you're not too put off by all the controversy that did surround this going into it, I would say at least go and watch the Shane McMahon thing. Or go look at it on Twitter or social media or Facebook. Go watch it somewhere. I tell you, you'll laugh. You'll laugh for hours. It's almost as if WWE knew what they were doing. At one point, Shane had the trophy and he's like, I can't believe it. Of course you can't believe it, Shane. You weren't in the tournament. You're not even a proper wrestler. You haven't been on TV for about 6 months. But what are you going to do? That's WWE. They went crazy. They went absolutely crazy. And here we are. Here we are. Shane McMahon's the best in the world. Brock Lesnar's Universal Champion. Braun Strowman is just a jobber. And Shawn Michaels is doing moonsaults off the top rope. I got to go lie down. I'm absolutely exhausted. What an absolute bonkers night this has been. I'm done. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about WWE Crown Jewel. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. And follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for joining me. And please come tell me what you thought about this. I need to know. I imagine there's a lot of hate, but just take a step back and remember that sometimes, I don't even know. I don't have a finish to that sentence. I'm not myself right now. I'm not myself. I can't believe what I've just seen. Did I book this in like some kind of slumber? Who knows? I'm out here. I'll see you soon.